How do you respond when the person you vowed forever to, the one you build a life with, looks you dead in the eyes and asks for permission to explore her options, and then turns into your worst nightmare when you don't play along? That Tuesday night in September, the fluorescent lights of our usual taco spot usually cast a warm, familiar glow. But that evening, they just highlighted the sudden, chilling distance in Chloe's eyes. She delivered a line that shattered my entire world, and honestly, I just put down my beer and told her, explore away. My name is Jason, I'm 35, and I pulled down solid money in tech management downtown. Up until that moment, I genuinely thought my life was pretty damn good. My wife, Chloe, was 25. We'd been married for 2 years, together for 5 total. She was the kind of woman who turned heads when she walked into a room, all vivacious energy and effortless charm. We met when she was 22, just wrapping up her communications degree. I was 32, already with a career and a nice apartment. Everyone, and I mean everyone, told us we balanced each other perfectly. The age gap? Never felt like an issue. She was mature for her age, or at least that's what I convinced myself. All her friends were getting engaged or married around the same time, and she seemed genuinely thrilled about our wedding. She spent months planning every single detail, cried happy tears walking down the aisle. I honestly thought we'd sailed through all the tough stuff, her graduation stress, career changes, apartment moves, all the usual relationship tests. Turns out, I was reading the situation completely wrong. Looking back, she'd been distant for about a month leading up to that taco night. More time glued to her phone, more nights out with coworkers, coming home later and later. She'd always been social, had this huge college friend group. So, when she said she needed girls' nights or work happy hours, I never questioned it. I trusted her. Completely. There was this one night, maybe 2 weeks before our fateful dinner. She came home well past midnight, smelling distinctly of expensive cologne I absolutely did not recognize. But she just brushed it off, saying the bar was crowded, people were everywhere. And I believed her. Because I wanted to. That Tuesday, she walked in, changed into a pair of jeans and a top I'd bought her, and suggested tacos. At that place. The one we only went to for serious conversations. I should have seen it coming. We ordered, made awkward small talk, and then she just dropped it. Casually, like she was commenting on the weather. She'd been thinking about her life, feeling like she got married too young, like she never truly experienced her 20s the way other people do. I asked her, what do you mean, specifically? And that's when she gave me the whole rehearsed speech about exploring her options before really committing, needing to figure out who she was as an individual. The phrase that stuck in my gut, sharp and cold like a knife, was when she said she needed this before settling down. And I just sat there, my mind reeling, processing that my wife was essentially asking for permission to sleep with other guys while keeping me as a backup plan. She kept talking, rambling about how much she loved me, but she needed this for herself. Maybe we could reconnect when she was ready. I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I didn't even ask what I'd done wrong. I just looked at her, finished my beer slowly, and told her to explore away. Then I stood up, threw 2 20s on the table for the bill, and walked out. She called after me, shouting that I was being dramatic. The drive home felt surreal, like watching my life from outside my own body. When I got to our apartment, I didn't sit around drinking and looking at wedding photos. No. I started packing her stuff. Methodically. Clothes, makeup, books, those ridiculous decorative pillows she'd insisted we needed. Boxed everything up, stacked it neatly by the door. Then I did something I'd never done before. I blocked her number. Blocked every single social media account. Her email. I started erasing her completely. When she finally came home around midnight, probably expecting some long, tearful conversation, I'd already changed the locks. She knocked, then pounded, calling my name through the door with increasing desperation. But I was in the bedroom, headphones on, researching divorce lawyers. The next morning, her boxes were gone from the hallway, and I went to work like nothing happened. Coworkers asked how my week was. I said, fine. Nobody knew my marriage had imploded just 12 hours earlier. Over the next few months, I threw myself into everything I'd neglected. Started playing tennis again, something I'd loved in college, but stopped because Chloe found it boring. Hit the gym hard, hired a trainer, saw real results. Took on extra projects at work, and when my boss mentioned a senior management promotion opening up, I went after it aggressively. The funny thing was, once I wasn't coming home to someone who might or might not be happy to see me, my work performance actually improved. I was sharper in meetings, more creative with solutions, stayed late because I wanted to, not because I was avoiding an awkward dinner. My team noticed the change. One coworker even asked if I'd started drinking different coffee or something because I seemed so much more focused. I wasn't running from pain, just redirecting energy I'd wasted on a failing marriage into things that actually improved my life. For the first time in years, I could breathe without wondering if my wife was happy or thinking about leaving. No drama, no walking on eggshells, no trying to be perfect while she decided if she even wanted to be married. I heard through mutual friends that Chloe was, indeed, living her best life. Clubs every weekend, Instagram stories at parties with random guys, dating around like she was making up for lost time. One friend told me she'd been seen making out with some guy at a downtown club. Another said she was on multiple dating apps with her relationship status set to separated. Good for her, honestly. She made her choice. I made mine. And I wasn't leaving any door open for her to walk back through. My life got quieter, but also cleaner. No more anxiety about what mood she'd be in when I got home. No more checking my phone, constantly hoping for an affectionate text that never came. Then 4 months passed, and everything shifted. I came home from tennis one evening, still in my athletic clothes, feeling great about life, and found her sitting on the floor outside my apartment door. She looked different, tired, less of that confident energy she'd always had. She stood up fast when she saw me, and before I could even tell her to leave, she launched into this desperate speech about making a terrible mistake, being ready now, wanting our marriage back, promising real commitment this time. Tears streamed down her face as she talked. I unlocked my door calmly, stepped inside, and without turning around, I simply said, "I don't need you anymore." Then I closed the door, locked it, and called building security to remove her for trespassing. Through the door, I heard her scream, "I'll wait. You'll realize we're meant to be together." And I knew, with absolute certainty, this wasn't over. The next morning, I woke up to 47 texts from unknown numbers. All variations of how I was making a mistake and needed to give Chloe another chance. She'd recruited her entire friend group and family to bombard me since I'd blocked her months ago. Some messages were sympathetic, others aggressively angry. One called me a coward for not fighting for my marriage. I deleted every message, blocked every number, and went to work like nothing happened. But Chloe was just getting started. 3 days later, I was in a meeting when our receptionist called, saying my wife was in the lobby claiming she needed to deliver important medication. I told her I don't have a wife and to call security if she didn't leave. My coworkers looked confused since I'd never mentioned being married, and I just shrugged and continued my presentation. Later that day, my boss pulled me aside, asked if everything was okay, said security had mentioned an incident. I gave him the brief version. Messy separation, ex-wife not handling it well. He was understanding, said to let him know if it became a workplace safety issue. That conversation made it real in a way it hadn't been before. This wasn't just personal drama anymore, it was affecting my professional life. That weekend, I went to my usual coffee shop Saturday morning, and there she was, sitting at my favorite window table. She smiled and waved like we were old friends. So, I turned around and left without ordering. Drove to a different shop across town. She showed up 30 minutes later. That's when I realized she was tracking me somehow. Either an app one didn't know about or something on my car. I spent Sunday afternoon checking for GPS trackers. Found nothing, but factory reset my phone just in case. Messages kept coming from new numbers every few days. Her mom started calling my work phone directly, crying about how I was destroying her daughter's mental health. Her sister cornered me at my gym, gave me this whole speech about family and forgiveness and second chances. I told her Chloe made her choice when she asked to explore options. I made mine by moving on. Her sister called me cold and heartless. I went back to my workout. Then Chloe started appearing at places I'd never taken her. Places I'd only discovered after we separated. Tennis courts on Tuesday evenings. The new Italian place I'd tried with coworkers. Even the hiking trail I'd found recently. Always had some flimsy excuse about randomly deciding to try this place. What a coincidence. We had the same idea. I started varying my routine completely. Different places, different times, never posting locations on social media. It felt like evading a stalker, which I guess I was. My divorce lawyer, Brenda, told me to document everything. Save all messages and voicemails. The voicemails were particularly disturbing when I actually listened to them. One at 2 o'clock in the morning said, in this creepy, sing-song voice that made my skin crawl, "I can see your lights are on. I know you're home. I know you're awake." Another described exactly what I'd worn to work that day, meaning she'd been watching me. Another was just her breathing for 30 seconds, then whispering my name. The worst one came on a Sunday morning, her crying for 2 full minutes before saying she'd made the biggest mistake of her life and couldn't live without me. Brenda listened to that one during our meeting and said, "That's textbook obsessive behavior. The kind that sometimes escalates to dangerous situations." She strongly recommended I consider a restraining order, but I still thought maybe Chloe would eventually get tired and move on. I saved everything anyway, created a spreadsheet with dates and times, took screenshots of every message, started carrying pepper spray in my gym bag, changed my usual route home from work, installed a video doorbell at my apartment. These weren't things I ever thought I'd need to do because of someone I'd once loved. 6 weeks after the apartment incident, I finally agreed to an actual date with someone new. Olivia, 27, an architect at a downtown firm. We'd met at a work conference where she presented on sustainable building design, and I'd been genuinely impressed by her knowledge and confidence. Smart, funny, had her life together, wasn't playing games or trying to find herself. We'd been talking for weeks, but I'd been hesitant because of the Chloe situation. Olivia was patient when I explained my complicated separation. Said she understood messy divorces because her sister had gone through one. We picked a nice steakhouse across town, somewhere I'd never been with Chloe, somewhere I thought would be safe. I was wrong about that. The date was going incredibly well. Real chemistry, conversation flowing naturally. First time in months, I felt genuinely excited about someone emotionally mature. We were laughing about work stuff when I saw her walk through the entrance. Chloe. She wore the red dress I bought for our 2nd anniversary, the one she said made her feel beautiful, hair and makeup professionally done. She walked straight to our table with intense focus, completely ignoring the hostess trying to stop her. Olivia looked confused as Chloe approached. My stomach dropped, knowing exactly what was coming. Chloe put her hand on our table, looked directly at Olivia, and announced she was my wife, and we weren't done. Olivia glanced at me. I calmly told Chloe to leave or I'd call the police. She ignored me completely, kept talking to Olivia, saying I was confused and going through a phase, and they needed a woman-to-woman conversation about respecting marriages. Olivia stood up, told Chloe she was clearly unstable, and that's when Chloe completely lost it. She grabbed for my phone on the table. I pulled it away. She knocked over both wine glasses, sending red wine spraying across the white tablecloth and onto Olivia's dress. The entire restaurant went silent. Chloe started crying loudly about how I'd ruined her life, how she'd changed, and was ready now. 2 waiters approached. I pulled out my phone and called the police while she made her scene. She tried grabbing my phone again, actually lunged across the table. One waiter had to physically hold her back. Olivia, bless her, grabbed her purse and headed to the bathroom. I just sat there calmly, waiting for the cops while Chloe alternated between crying and yelling. Police arrived 8 minutes later. Chloe tried playing victim, saying I'd invited her, then humiliated her publicly. The restaurant manager had already pulled security footage showing her forcing past the hostess. Multiple witnesses gave statements. The officer, a tired-looking guy in his 40s, asked if I wanted to press charges for harassment. I said, not yet, but I want it documented. He nodded, wrote everything down, told Chloe she needed to leave immediately. She stared at me with desperate anger, mascara running, said, "You'll regret this. We're supposed to be together," before leaving with the officers following. I found Olivia, apologized profusely for ruining our date, offered to pay for her dress cleaning. She was surprisingly understanding, said it wasn't my fault, but I could tell the evening's magic was destroyed. We left separately. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, just processing what had happened. The next morning, the responding officer called back, suggesting I seriously consider a restraining order. He said Chloe's behavior showed clear escalation and obsession. I finally agreed and called Brenda. The restraining order hearing was scheduled 3 weeks after the restaurant disaster, and I spent that time building an airtight case. Brenda and I assembled a folder that was, honestly, disturbing, printed screenshots from over 30 different phone numbers, voicemail transcripts where Chloe described my daily activities in creepy detail, photographs of her outside my building at various times, witness statements from the restaurant manager, building security, gym staff who'd seen her following me. The night before the hearing, I barely slept. Kept thinking how my marriage went from something solid to this absolute nightmare. The courtroom was smaller than expected, just a regular room with the judge's bench and a few rows of chairs. Chloe showed up with her mom and some lawyer who looked like he advertised on bus benches. She dressed conservatively, hair pulled back, trying to look responsible and stable, but I saw her hands shaking as she sat down. Brenda was sharp, had handled dozens of these cases, knew exactly how to present everything. When our turn came, Brenda walked the judge through the timeline systematically. Chloe's request to explore options, my agreement to separate, then the escalating contact pattern after she decided she wanted back in. The judge, a woman in her 50s who looked exhausted from hearing terrible cases daily, paid particular attention when Brenda played the voicemail where Chloe said, "I can see your lights on. You're home. I know it, at 2 o'clock in the morning." Chloe's lawyer tried arguing this was just a woman fighting for her marriage, emotional because she loved her husband and made a mistake. The judge cut him off. She asked Chloe directly if she'd followed me to various locations after being told to stop contact. Chloe started crying. Said she just wanted a chance to explain herself, that I was cruel for refusing to talk. The judge asked again, more firmly, if she'd followed me to my workplace, gym, restaurants, other locations. Chloe admitted she had, but said it was because I'd blocked her and wouldn't give her any other way to communicate. The judge looked at her for a long moment, then explained, "Ms. Chloe's last name, that's not how boundaries work. When someone clearly indicates they don't want contact, you respect that, regardless of your feelings." The ruling came fast. 500 feet minimum distance at all times. No direct or indirect contact through any means. No showing up at my home or workplace. Violation means immediate arrest. The judge also noted officially that Chloe's behavior constituted stalking and harassment under state law, now part of her permanent legal record. Chloe's mom started crying loudly in the back. Chloe just stared at me with complete devastation, mixed with anger. Outside the courthouse, Brenda told me to stay vigilant because restraining orders sometimes escalate situations before improving them. I thanked her, paid her invoice, and drove straight to my other lawyer's office to finalize the divorce paperwork pending for months. With the restraining order in place, Chloe couldn't contest anything. We pushed through an uncontested divorce, finalized within 6 weeks. I heard through mutual friends that Chloe's life completely fell apart after the hearing. She lost her marketing firm job because the court case showed up in a routine background check after she'd missed several work days. Her friend group mostly distanced themselves once they realized how unstable she'd become. Several later told me they'd been uncomfortable with her behavior, but didn't know how to address it. Her social media became this weird mix of cryptic posts about narcissistic abuse and healing from toxic relationships, positioning herself as a victim of my cruelty. I never responded or engaged. Just let her narrative exist in whatever alternate reality she needed. Meanwhile, my life got significantly better once the legal situation resolved. Olivia and I had stayed in touch after the disastrous restaurant date, texting and video chatting for weeks before trying another in-person meeting. She appreciated that I'd handled the situation through proper legal channels instead of just hoping it would disappear. And we slowly built something real, based on mutual respect and emotional maturity. There was this moment, about 2 months into dating Olivia, when I realized I'd gone an entire week without thinking about Chloe once. And that's when I knew I was truly free. We took things slow, no rushing, just enjoying building something healthy with someone who knew what she wanted. I got that promotion at work I'd been chasing. It came with a substantial raise and better hours. My tennis game improved to where I was winning local tournament matches. I slept through the night again without worrying about someone showing up or following me around town. About a year after the restraining order, I proposed to Olivia on a hiking trip in the mountains, somewhere beautiful and peaceful, with zero connection to my past. She said yes immediately. We started planning a small wedding with just close friends and family who actually supported us. I never heard from Chloe again directly, though I know she eventually moved to a different state based on mutual friend mentions. One of those friends told me Chloe had tried reaching out to her, asking about me, wanting to know if I was happy if I ever mentioned her. My friend shut it down immediately, told her she needed to move on and stop asking about my life. The whole experience taught me something crucial about self-respect and boundaries I don't think I fully understood before. People don't have the right to put you on pause while they explore other options, then expect you waiting when they decide they're ready. You're not a backup plan. Not a safety net. Not a shelf where someone stores you until they finish shopping around. When someone says they're too young or not ready or need to experience life without you, believe them the first time and move forward completely. Don't leave doors open. Don't wait around hoping they'll realize what they lost. Don't let them guilt you into second chances you don't want to give. The right person won't need to lose you to appreciate you, and they definitely won't stalk you when you enforce reasonable boundaries. Sometimes the trash takes itself out. Your only job is making sure it stays out on the curb where it belongs. Olivia and I got married last spring in a small ceremony overlooking the lake, surrounded by people who'd supported us through everything. Standing there, watching her walk down the aisle, I realized I'd never been this happy in my entire life. Chloe had done me the biggest favor possible by asking to explore her options. She just didn't realize it at the time. Neither did I. What do you think about the story? Have you ever had to draw a hard line for your own peace? Let me know in the comments below. And if this resonated with you, drop a like and don't forget to subscribe for more real-life stories.